Bonjour tout le monde. Hello everyone. We are a country that stands united in our effort to defeat a pandemic, to save lives, and to help each other make it to a better day. But yesterday, we were jolted from that common cause by the senseless violence and tragedy in Nova Scotia. A gunman claimed the lives of at least 18 people. Among them, a woman in uniform, whose job it is to protect lives even if it endangers her own, Constable Heidi Stevenson of the RCMP. Constable Stevenson died protecting others. She was answering the call of duty, something she had done every day when she went to work for 23 years. This happened in small towns. Portapique, Truro, Milford, and Enfield are places where people have deep roots, places where people know their neighbours and look out for one another. There, everyone knows a Mountie because they're everything from police officers to social workers to teen counsellors. Now these communities are in mourning, and Canada is in mourning with them. To the grandparent who lost a child, to the children who lost a parent, to the neighbour who lost a friend, we are so sorry for your loss. Such a tragedy should have never occurred. Violence of any kind has no place in Canada. We stand with you and we grieve with you, and you can count on our government's full support during this incredibly painful time. Hier, au moins 18 personnes ont perdu la vie à la suite d'une fusillade survenue en Nouvelle-Écosse, plongeant des familles et leurs proches en deuil. Aux grands-parents qui ont perdu un enfant, aux enfants qui ont perdu un parent, aux voisins qui ont perdu des amis, mes pensées et les pensées de tous les Canadiens vous accompagnent. Une telle tragédie n'aurait jamais dû se produire. La violence n'a jamais sa place dans notre pays. Nous partageons votre deuil. Nous sommes de tout cœur avec vous alors que vous vivez des moments extrêmement douloureux. I also want to wish a full and speedy recovery to all those injured, including another RCMP officer. Canada is a vast and sweeping country, filled with long stretches of lonely roads, with unwavering courage and compassion. Our Royal Canadian Mounted Police patrol these roads to keep us safe, as they have for over 100 years. I know that from coast to coast to coast, the women and men who wear the red serge in service to Canada are grieving deeply the loss of one of their own and one of our best. This tragedy is a painful reminder of the risks all of our first responders take to keep us safe, of the sacrifices they make every single day to protect our communities. Paramedics, doctors, nurses, firefighters, and police officers, they're always here for us. They've been stepping up through the pandemic, and yesterday in Nova Scotia, they showed that bravery. I want to take a moment to thank them all for their professionalism and their courage. Many of you are already working overtime because of this pandemic. Our communities need you now more than ever, and I know that can weigh on you at times. These are exceptional circumstances, yet you did what you always do. You ran towards danger. Without pause, without hesitation, you put your life on the line on behalf of all Canadians. Thank you for your service. Je veux prendre un instant pour remercier tous les premiers intervenants pour leur courage et leur professionnalisme. Vous travaillez déjà très fort à cause de la pandémie. Plus que jamais, on a besoin de vous. Et par moments, ça doit être une responsabilité qui est lourde à porter. Malgré les circonstances exceptionnelles, vous avez fait ce que vous avez l'habitude de faire. Vous n'avez pas hésité à risquer votre vie pour sauver celle des autres. De la part de tous les Canadiens, merci pour tout ce que vous faites. This day is made all the more difficult because of the precious lives lost in the senseless act of one person. Just how could this happen? We may never know why. But we do know this. No one man's action can build a wall between us and a better day, no matter how evil, how thoughtless, or how destructive. Canadians are kind and generous. We are there for each other and we look out for one another. As families grieve the loss of a loved one, all Canadians are standing with them. The pandemic will prevent us from mourning together in person, but a vigil will be held virtually to celebrate the lives of the victims at 7 p.m. on Friday through the Facebook group Colchester Supporting Our Community. As we learn more about what happened yesterday, it's important that we come together to support communities. In the hours since the tragedy, I've spoken with Premier McNeill, RCMP Commissioner Lucky, Minister Blair, and many Nova Scotians, including our Nova Scotia caucus. We will continue to work together to see this through. I know that people have a lot of questions. This is an ongoing investigation, but I can assure you that the RCMP and local authorities will keep you updated. I want to ask the media to avoid mentioning the name and showing the picture of the person involved. Do not give him the gift of infamy. Let us instead focus all our intention and attention on the lives we lost and the families and friends who grieve. Bien que la pandémie nous empêche de nous recueillir en personne, une vigile virtuelle aura lieu en ligne à 19 h vendredi sur le groupe Facebook Colchester Supporting Our Community. Ce sera l'occasion pour nous de célébrer la vie des victimes et d'être là pour leurs familles et leurs proches. J'espère que vous serez nombreux à vous joindre à nous. Alors qu'on cherche à comprendre ce qui s'est passé hier, on doit être là, les uns pour les autres. Depuis la tragédie, je me suis entretenu avec le Premier ministre McNeill, la commissaire de la GRC, Brenda Lucky, le ministre de la Sécurité publique, Bill Blair, et notre caucus de la Nouvelle-Écosse, entre autres. Nous allons continuer de travailler ensemble sur ce dossier. Je sais que les gens ont des questions. L'enquête est toujours en cours, mais je peux vous assurer que la GRC et les autorités locales vont vous garder au courant des derniers développements. Je demanderai aussi aux médias de ne pas utiliser le nom ou les photos de l'auteur de ces actes terribles. Ne lui faisons pas ce cadeau. Concentrons-nous plutôt sur les victimes et leurs proches. I want to close today by addressing all the kids in Nova Scotia and right across the country. I know the world can seem like a mean and ugly place right now, but there's a whole lot of good in the world too. You'll see it in your neighbors and in Canadians in the days and weeks and months ahead. This is a difficult time, and it can be a scary time too, but we're here for you. And we're going to get through this together. I promise.
Merci. On va commencer la conférence de presse avec le téléphone aujourd'hui. Modérateur, c'est à vous.
Thank you. Merci. First question, Laura Osmond, the Canadian Press. Line open.
Mr. Prime Minister, I wanted to ask you, Conservative leader Andrew Scheer today accused you of being inflexible in your negotiations about the number of in-person sittings in Parliament. I was wondering if there's any room for a compromise, 2 sittings per week, for example, given that moving forward may be preferable to no deal at all.
Look, I don't want to get into arguments with anyone today. We are working together amongst all parties to try and figure out a way to both protect and uphold our democracy, to ensure that there is proper accountability, while at the same time doing that responsibly. and I am hopeful that we're going to be able to come to an appropriate arrangement.
Follow-up question.
I was wondering if we could have an accounting of all of the ways that the opposition has been kept informed of the ongoing crisis and the government's actions outside of the House to date.
As I said, we have been engaged with all parties over the course of this pandemic. There have been many good ideas brought forward by business leaders, by community groups, by individual Canadians, but also by MPs from all parties who've heard from citizens in their communities what's needed to be done to help. This has been an unprecedented effort across government to try and make sure that we are giving Canadians the help they need to get through this difficult time, and we will continue to do that.
Merci. Prochaine question, opérateur.
Thank you. Merci. Next question, Kate Bolangaro, Bloomberg, line open.
Hello, Mr. Prime Minister. I have a question for you regarding navigating Canada through this crisis. Obviously, you're leading this G7 country through this pandemic, and you've also been personally impacted by this. So I'm wondering, how would you say that this pandemic has impacted your governing style as a leader and your perception of your role as our Prime Minister?
I think one of the things that we've seen right across the country is how Canadians have pulled together through this difficult time, and that's something that we've always done. We make sure we're there for each other when we encounter difficulties. And right across the country, whether it's premiers, whether it's municipal leaders, whether it's community groups or individual Canadians, we've seen Canadians step up for each other. And the privilege of being able to serve Canadians through this difficult time is really quite something when you see just how Canadians are resolute in their desire to support each other through this. Obviously, the capacity to work across all orders of government, work together as a country, is what is keeping us on a good path through this. There are too many tragedies to name going on as people lose loved ones right across the country. But at the same time, we know that what we are doing is helping prevent further tragedies, and we're going to continue to do that.
On a follow-up, Kate?
And how would you describe your strategy? What has it been in terms of inside the PMO office to getting us through these tough times? And how would you assess your own performance on that?
Our focus every step of the way has been listening to the best advice of experts and scientists on what we need to do to keep Canadians safe in this, and to ensure that everything we're doing is giving Canadians the comfort and confidence that we're all in this together and that we are going to be there for each other. I think that has been key to making sure that people are able to self-isolate, are able to take the difficult measures necessary to get us through this pandemic, is to know that as a country, as systems, as governments, we're there for each other, and making sure that Canadians feel that support and know that we're going to get through this together has been key in making us able to get through this together.
Merci. Opérateur, prochaine question.
Thank you. Merci. Prochaine question, Marie Vastel, Le Devoir. À vous.
Oui, bonjour, M. Trudeau. Je comprends que vous avez peut-être pas trop la tête à parler du Parlement, mais le fait est qu'il siège en ce moment, donc je suis un peu obligée de vous en parler malgré ça. J'aimerais vous entendre sur votre impression de ce que les citoyens pensent peut-être en regardant ce qui se passe en ce moment à Ottawa. Les gens sont chez eux depuis plus d'un mois, confinés. On voit ce qui se passe avec la pandémie. On voit maintenant ce qui se passe en Nouvelle-Écosse. Et là, le Parlement reprend en personne parce que plusieurs partis politiques n'arrivent pas à s'entendre. Qu'est-ce que vous pensez que les citoyens se disent aujourd'hui en regardant tout ça?
Je pense que les citoyens comprennent que c'est important, pas malgré la crise, mais à cause de la crise, qu'on continue à défendre nos institutions, qu'on continue de siéger en tant que Parlement, mais de chercher des façons à le faire de façon responsable. C'est important de pouvoir continuer avec les questions, avec les mesures nécessaires pour aider les gens. Alors, on est en train de proposer des façons de travailler de façon constructive et responsable. les partis sont pour la plupart d'accord et je sais qu'on va avoir plus de discussions aujourd'hui pour pouvoir établir la marche à suivre et pour défendre nos principes et nos institutions démocratiques et pour s'assurer qu'on fait ça de façon responsable.
En suivi, Marie?
Ouais. Il y a certains partis qui accusent, ou un parti, en fait, le Bloc québécois, qui accuse les conservateurs de prendre en otage le Parlement. J'aimerais vous entendre sur cette caractérisation de la situation actuelle et j'aimerais aussi vous entendre sur cette idée de négociation, de compromis, dans l'optique où il y a un parti qui exige d'avoir 3 séances en personne par semaine. Si vous ne vous entendez pas, il y en aura 5 par semaine. Et c'est, semble-t-il, pire selon votre perspective à vous, alors que vous souhaiteriez qu'il n'y en ait presque pas pour respecter la distanciation sociale. Donc, est-ce que vous seriez pas mieux de négocier, de vous entendre sur 3 séances plutôt que d'être coincé avec 5 séances?
Je ne veux pas m'immiscer dans des chicanes partisanes à ce niveau-là. Je pense que c'est pas quelque chose que les Canadiens veulent voir. Mais les Canadiens veulent savoir qu'on est en train de faire notre travail pour défendre nos institutions, pour continuer avec notre démocratie dans un moment de crise, dans une situation extrêmement importante, pour s'assurer qu'on pose les bonnes questions, qu'on donne les bonnes réponses. Donc, je suis très confiant qu'aujourd'hui, on va pouvoir s'entendre sur une approche qui va à la fois assurer la continuité de nos institutions parlementaires pendant ces moments difficiles, mais de le faire de façon responsable.
Merci. Opérateur, dernière question au téléphone.
Thank you. Merci. Prochaine question, Louis-Samuel Perron, La Presse. À vous.
Oui, bonjour, Monsieur Trudeau. Est-ce que votre gouvernement va déposer un projet de loi pour resserrer le contrôle des armes à feu à la suite de la triste tuerie en Nouvelle-Écosse?
Évidemment, il y a encore beaucoup de questions à se poser, à une enquête à poursuivre par rapport à exactement ce qui s'est passé en Nouvelle-Écosse et je ne veux pas tirer trop de conclusions là-dessus encore. Mais je peux souligner qu'on avait fait des engagements extrêmement clairs au niveau du resserrement du contrôle des armes à feu. Et on était à veille, justement, de présenter un projet de loi pour bannir les armes d'assaut dans notre pays. Et nous allons reprendre ces mesures importantes dès qu'on aura la chance dans la Chambre des communes, une fois qu'on sera passé à travers de la COVID-19.
Question de suivi.
Oui, au Québec, ce matin, les travailleurs de la construction sont retournés sur les chantiers résidentiels. Est-ce que votre gouvernement appuie cette mesure au Québec et à travers le pays pour le déconfinement?
Je pense que c'est important que les différentes juridictions prennent leurs décisions dans leur champ de compétences. Je pense que c'est à chaque région, à chaque province d'évaluer qu'est-ce qu'il peut faire à quel moment. On essaie de coordonner sur la base de principes partagés à travers le pays. Mais les actions vont être différentes d'une place à l'autre. Mais ce que je peux souligner, c'est que, évidemment, c'est essentiel que, quelles que soient les décisions prises, la santé et la sécurité des travailleurs et des Canadiens pour empêcher la propagation de la COVID-19 soit la priorité dans toute reprise de quelque travail que ce soit.
Morning, Prime Minister. Tom Perry, CBC. You've promised a ban on assault-style weapons. Given what we know about the shooting in Nova Scotia, could that have prevented these crimes? And if not, would you consider even tighter gun control measures?
As we know, this is very much an ongoing investigation that's in its early stages in Nova Scotia right now, so I don't want to jump to conclusions or make characterizations about what happened until we get a full accounting from the authorities. But in regards to gun control, we took very serious commitments in the election campaign and have moved forward and are moving forward on them to ensure that we're strengthening gun control in this country. I can say that we were on the verge of introducing legislation to ban assault-style weapons across this country. It was interrupted when the pandemic caused Parliament to be suspended. but we have every intention of moving forward on that measure and potentially other measures when the Parliament returns.
Would you approve of relaxing some physical distancing measures to allow the people in Nova Scotia to bury their loved ones properly?
I think that's a reflection that communities, that the province, and that all of us are going to have. We understand how incredibly painful it is for families who've lost loved ones in Nova Scotia this past day, to imagine that they're not going to be able to see them off together as a community. But at the same time, there are thousands and thousands of Canadians across this country who've lost loved ones to COVID-19 over the past days, and others who've lost family members to cancer and to other causes, who haven't been able to gather, to mourn, to grieve, to attend funerals. This is something that we are dealing with right now that is heartbreak on top of other heartbreaks. And I know that everyone will be looking for ways to demonstrate their solidarity without putting further at risk communities, first responders, our health professionals, and our seniors. Okay. Je reconnais qu'il y a des gens qui ont perdu des êtres proches cette dernière journée en Nouvelle-Écosse. Mais on a aussi des gens qui ont perdu des membres de la famille, des amis, des parents pendant les dernières semaines à cause de la COVID-19 qui ont été empêchés de pouvoir se rassembler pour des funérailles, pour faire leur deuil ensemble. C'est une situation difficile, rendue encore plus difficile dans des moments de perte et de deuil. Nous devons de continuer à essayer d'être là, les uns pour les autres, dans les moments tragiques, tout en s'assurant qu'on n'est pas en train d'amener plus de risques pour nos êtres chers, pour nos voisins, pour les premiers répondants, pour nos travailleurs du système de santé. Nous avons besoin de faire tout ce qu'on peut pour garder les gens en sécurité et en santé pendant cette tragédie pandémique.
Brian Mullen, Global News. Prime Minister, was the Nova Scotia shooter on the federal government's radar? Were any federal agencies watching him?
There are many questions that people are asking about what happened and how it happened, and that investigation is ongoing, and I can assure everyone that the RCMP will be sharing details as they can, as they choose in the coming days, and there will be many opportunities to talk more about these things once we have a clearer idea of the facts.
What did you think when you learned about the degree of planning and impersonation in this terrible crime? Does it concern you that someone could create such a good fake?
I think as we learn more about this, we'll have to ask ourselves many questions about how it happened and if and what we can do to keep communities safer in the future. But my first thoughts when I heard of this tragedy yesterday and saw the numbers climb in terms of victims, my first thought was for Nova Scotians who, for the most part, know each other so much. They are such a connected group that I know that the vast majority of Nova Scotians will have a direct link with one or more of the many victims. And the entire province and the entire country is grieving right now as we come to grips with something that is absolutely unimaginable.
Kevin Gallagher, CTV National News. Prime Minister, as we're talking about the national tragedy in Nova Scotia and Canadians living under strict public health guidelines across the country, how appropriate is it for this ongoing battle over procedural matters to bring back Parliament? Why can't your government reach a deal on this?
I'm very hopeful that over the course of the day, Canadians will see parliamentarians coming together to demonstrate that our democracy is strong, that our institutions need to function, including during difficult times, indeed because of the difficult time we're going through, but that we can do so in a responsible way. As I've said, there is agreement amongst most of the parties in the House of Commons, and I hope to see by the end of this day that we're all in a place where we can both have our parliamentary institutions functioning, but doing so in a responsible way, given the context we're in. J'espère qu'on va se retrouver à la fin de la journée avec une façon d'assurer que oui, notre Parlement fonctionne, que notre démocratie est en santé, pas malgré la pandémie, mais à cause de la pandémie. Mais on va bien voir. On est dans une situation où on a l'accord de la plupart des parlementaires. On espère qu'on va trouver la bonne solution pour continuer à siéger de façon responsable, étant donné les circonstances.
As a follow-up, what responsibility does your government take for not having this deal in place?
I think it's all of our collective responsibility to do the best we can through this difficult situation. It is really important for me that we continue to uphold our democracy, our democratic principles, the principles of accountability, the ability to move forward with new legislation to help Canadians. That really matters. But it really matters that we do so responsibly. I'm pleased that we have agreement amongst most parties. And I'm hopeful that by the end of the day today, we'll have a clear path forward that will both defend our institutions and appreciate the context that we're in right now.
Bonjour, M. Trudeau, Philippe Vincent Foisy de Radio-Canada. Je comprends qu'il y a des questions qui vont se poser encore longtemps avec l'enquête sur ce qui se passe en Nouvelle-Écosse. Je ne veux pas vous poser la question spécifiquement sur la Nouvelle-Écosse, mais sur le Canada de façon générale. Comment ça se fait qu'en 2020, on a encore des fusillades et des tueries de masse comme ça?
Je pense que c'est une situation tragique qui nous rappelle que malheureusement, il y a encore de la violence faite avec des armes à feu dans notre pays. On a pris des mesures pour renforcer le contrôle des armes à feu, mais on doit en faire plus. On s'est engagé à en faire plus et on va en faire plus. On a besoin d'assurer que les Canadiens puissent vivre en sécurité dans leur communauté over the coming weeks. I think we will look at opportunities to do just that.
Merci beaucoup. C'est ce qui m'a fait la conférence de presse d'aujourd'hui.
Merci tout le monde.